I can't hear anything. Don't worry.
Okay.
If I can't hear it, no one else can hear it.
All
And
right.
I think that means we're live, Trev. Welcome to the Regen Nation Podcast. Back for another month. This month is May, and you know what? Did a couple months of me doing the solo trek, and I figured I don't want to bore you guys anymore. So I brought on a special guest, and not just a regular special guest. Like I got the man himself, Trevor Page. Welcome to the show, Trev.
Thanks for having me on. The
No,
man?
the
What is that
man.
supposed to mean?
I don't know. Oh no, and it's not like the man, that kind of thing. But no, you're like in the Tesla and EV community, you're it. And
OG? OG?
yeah, yeah, the
All right.
OG. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
my pleasure. I mean, you have to woo people a little bit, but hey, when you just pick up the phone and you say, "Hey, come on," I'm like, "Okay, sure."
yeah. I was gonna say I didn't have to woo you too much. I didn't pay you anything, or the famous saying, "The check's in the mail," right?
All right, right, right.
No, thanks for coming on. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say that you've uh, went dark on us or anything. I still see that you're very active on Twitter and stuff like that. But what have you been up to lately? For people
Oh,
that don't follow you,
yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
yeah.
For those who don't know, I sort of retired from the Tesla community just over a year ago, and took a bit of time to just sort of just chill, just figure out what I want to do, and got some other projects which I'll talk about hopefully a little bit later this year about what I've been working on. But in the meantime, I just started doing a lot of handyman stuff.
Yeah.
It's something that I always wanted to do, and I plan to do after retirement, just as a hobby thing, not full time or anything like that. So yeah, it's been I've been very busy. I ended up buying a trailer. You see, the thing was when I first started doing it, I had the Model Y, and I figured I'll just check my tools and that. And that lasted about 3 weeks. I was so busy, and I ended up accumulating so many tools, and I actually have a much larger tool collection now. I ended up having to buy a trailer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I tow that, and that's one of the reasons I kind of went with the tow hitch because I knew I was going to have to get some kind of trailer eventually. Not just that, but for the bikes too. And I'll tell you, the Model Y is a tow machine. I mean, it's
Is
not
it?
great on range, but man, it's a 6x12, 6x10 high interior, so it's about 6.5 feet tall on the inside,
Wow.
and it tows like crazy. I don't even feel the thing behind me.
No,
I notice
but
it on range, but
on range because you're
but
dragging a box down the
yeah,
air.
yeah, aerodynamics matters a lot. It's not so much the weight, but the aerodynamics is brutal.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, for the amount of stuff that I do, it's I'm within a 50 to 60 kilometer range, so it's perfectly fine for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to have to go any like super far with it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, I've
That's
been
good.
upgrading tools and just doing it, and I love it. Although my body doesn't really agree with me. I'm not young anymore, and I
No,
get
no,
home
we're
after a
not.
long day and I'm sore, and oh, it's just like give me all the Tiger Balm, thank you.
That's good. Well, you know what, and that's the I've always said it to anyone that'll listen, and not that I'm even at that stage, but I just see it in my own personal life that when it comes time for retirement, you gotta find something to do. You can't just go, depending on what you did for a career and stuff like that. You can't go from up here to just zero.
No,
Like, yeah, we all want to retire and we all want to kick our feet back and relax and stuff like that. But you still got to have, like a hobby, something that'll keep your mind going. You just can't go
well,
like
you know what?
that
Retirement
drastic.
means different thing to different people. Like if you have 12 people and you ask them about retirement, you're going to get 12 different answers.
Yeah,
So yeah, some people are like, okay, I'm done. I'm just gonna sit down and watch hockey games all day long, and other people, I'll go play golf or travel or whatever the case may be. Me, I'm an active person. I just got to get out and do things. So I took my
yeah,
time and I did relax for a little bit. It's just nice to just kind of unwind and unhook and stop thinking about things. But after a while, it's just like, okay, idle hands, got to do things. So
that's good. Yeah, and it sounds like you did it the smart way. I mean, like I said, like you said, there's no right or wrong. Everyone does it differently. Everyone is different,
mhm.
but if you can find a nice hobby or find something to fall back on that isn't a job where you don't have to do it and you don't feel that it's a job, you can do it and you still enjoy it. You know, the minute you start taking a hobby, in my opinion, and you start uh, treating it as something that you have to do, then it's not a hobby, and then you lose the enjoyment. In my opinion, you lose the enjoyment. I've seen it. I have that opinion only because I've seen people do that, where it's now something that they have to do and they're compelled to do. And now, guess what? That's called a job for for different
Well, I
lack
know
of.
for me doing the handyman thing in a lot of ways, like I just finished a large pool shed project, and for me that's a creative outlet, right? You get to use my hands, you get to build and stuff. But at the end of the day, I was looking at it today. I was just putting finishing touches on it, and I stood back and I looked at it and I went, "Man, I'm pretty proud of this thing. I would have liked to have this for myself." So yeah, there's a pride of of construction and stuff. So anyway,
Yeah, make one for yourself. Then that's the thing. Hey, you're so
oh,
busy,
in
you
due
probably
time.
can make one for yourself.
Yeah, in due time, in due
Yeah,
time.
yeah, cool. So the Model Y, your Y, you said it's towing pretty good up with the trailer. What's the weight of
Yeah,
the
I mean,
trailer?
it's not great on range,
Yeah, well,
but like I said, it's great for towing as long as you stay within the specs. Like my trailer, all up is legally is 3,500 pounds because my understanding is in North America, once you pass 3,500 pounds, you need an active braking system. So, anyways, I don't have that on mine. I don't need that, but it's perfectly fine. And yeah, so charging can be a challenge sometimes, but other than that, it's fine. I mean, you've towed before, but probably not with your Y. You still have your Tundra? Is that what you have?
the Tacoma, yeah,
Oh, the
but
Tacoma.
I last year I towed with the Y once when I just rented a U-Haul. I had to do some backyard stuff, so it was for the day. But I know what you mean. I didn't have to charge and stuff. But yeah, charging. You know, I don't know what Tesla plans on doing that with all these Cybertrucks that are supposed to be coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And would tell me. I mean, let's get into it. I mean, this isn't one of the topics, but uh, we're here to pick your brain about Tesla and EVs and stuff like that. So, what do you think? Do you think Tesla's got some? We see how Rivian, we see how the Lightning, um, and I don't even count the Hummer, so let's just leave the Hummer out of this. But we see those two uh, bona fide electric trucks. We see how they handle towing when towing something. We see that they're easily cutting their range in half. Do you think Tesla's going to have some kind of magic sauce or
No,
something that they're going to be able to do?
no, just brute force big battery. That's all that's going to be.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They did talk about, or they didn't talk about it because they have said nothing about the Cybertruck,
Mm-hmm.
and that's typical Tesla, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we saw how they did it on the semi. Is how they took the three motors and they put one or two of them to sleep
Mm-hmm.
on highway.
Yep.
So I'm wondering, and a lot of people suspect or suggest that they may do the same thing with the Cybertruck
That wouldn't
to
surprise
get
me.
efficiency.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. To how much efficiency they're going to be able to pull out of that. I don't know if they develop for the semi, and they want to take advantage of that on the Cybertruck. I can see them doing it, but it's not going to magically make a 80 kilowatt hour battery go 300 miles on a towing. That's just not going to happen, right? So,
No. Like you said earlier, physics, right?
mm,
Yeah, aerodynamics and physics. When you got that drag,
aerodynamics especially. That's what
yeah,
I've noticed,
yeah,
anyways. Because you can drive, say, 10 miles per hour in the town with towing on a trailer. Car doesn't seem to care. But the moment
no,
you hit, 60 miles an hour or 80 kilometers an hour on the highway, oh yeah, you can literally watch.
yeah,
Your battery's like 80%, 79%, 78%. I keep mine on percent, but you get the general idea. It's brutal.
yeah, yeah. Well, I joined a few of these Facebook groups that one of them I think it's a Tesla towing group, and then
Hmm.
another one's an EV towing group, and they talk about that. And yeah, and that's what people say. They're like you basically. I forget somebody was mentioning it just a couple days ago. I saw one post where they're saying with the Model Y, it was 1% per mile or per kilometer. So it must have been per mile. So they were
Well, per
mind you, they
mile,
were
yeah, I
towing
would see that.
something.
Yeah, I would see per mile, yeah, per
Yeah,
2 kilometers, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it was yeah. I mean, we're all excited to see what's going on with the Cybertruck, and we've got one of the topics. We'll get to it. I don't want to jump the gun, but we'll get to it in a little bit. We talk about the Cybertruck, but oh, well, let me just ask you now while I have you. What's your prediction? When do you think that we're going to start seeing some roll off? And I
Next
don't
year.
mean just employees.
Next year.
Next year? You don't think anything will happen this year?
Well, this is not our first rodeo with Tesla. We've
I
seen it
like how you
happen many
use the word
times
rodeo.
before. Here's my prediction, and we'll see how it goes. But Tesla will hold the proverbial delivery event. Here's the first 5 or 6 cars. They go strictly to employees first. They get to test them. The first batches, as they make them, will go to employees for testing. And then once production ramps up satisfactorily, then they will slowly start to deliver them to customers. So don't expect to see any Cybertrucks on the road until, at least here in Canada anyways, probably till early spring of next year.
Oh, here in Canada, yeah, that's a whole different level of weight. I think
Well,
up here.
even in the States, I mean, if they actually do start, and I would suspect that they'll have the delivery rent probably around September. So at
The
that
event.
point, you're only left with
Yeah,
3 months out of the year anyways. So
yeah.
realistically, really, really late this year, you might see a few sort of on the road out in the wild that are not test vehicles. Sorry, my glasses are all messed up here for some reason. It drives me crazy.
No problem.
But
I can
in
see it
any
fine.
kind of appreciable numbers, it won't be until the spring.
Yeah, yeah. No, I tend to agree with you. Uh, like you said, we've seen this from Tesla before. They'll have the event probably in September, like you're saying, maybe late August if we're lucky, but more likely September. And do you think we're going to get specs and stuff like that at the event? No, Elon's going to get up there, talk about. He'll just regurgitate a lot of the stuff that we know. Probably bring out the truck and show us it. Won't go through like I definitely
Uh,
won't go through price or anything like that. And next, we'll have more questions and answers at the end of it.
Well, I'm just kind of going back from past experience. I mean, when they delivered the first Model Ys at the Gigafactory in Texas last year,
Yeah.
I mean, they had a very specific model, which is the 279-mile range one, sold only to employees, and that was the one that had the 4680 cells. And since then, it's gone dark because
Yeah.
4680s, I guess, for whatever reasons, Tesla's decided, you know what, that we did that as a test bed. All Model Ys, all threes are getting, either LFP batteries or 2170 cells. 4680, that's all for Cybertruck, and that's all for semi. There might be some variants of the Cybertruck that, based on production, might get some LFP batteries, might be some 2170s. But the 4680 thing certainly has not ramped up to their satisfaction. So don't be surprised if they have, just like they do for the Model 3, a couple different chemistries and formats for that battery, depending on the trim level of the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And the thing is, you have to also remember too, Cybertruck, in some respects, not all respects, but in some respects, is a different production method. It's all it's all brand new. It's not a carbon copy stamp of the Model 3 and the Model Y. So that's why I say, the ramp's going to be painful on this one for a while until they get things
Yeah.
figured out. And from all intents and purposes, the idea and the thing is that Elon's been very, very quiet about specs and how they're building it and stuff. Yeah, he likes to say that it's complicated, but things like exoskeleton, that's not happening. It's not an
No.
exoskeleton anymore.
No, it
It's
isn't.
it's a
And
unibody.
yeah, you saw that same. Who was it? There was some. I forget who it was on Twitter that mentioned that when that what's it called when they have the earnings call, and before the earnings call they put out that something card,
Oh,
something.
the investor stack or the
Yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I forget the
Yeah,
name
where
escapes me now
where
too.
where it gives you all the numbers and
Sure,
all
sure.
the write up and everything, and they showed a few pictures of the assembly line,
Hmm.
that prototype line
Hmm.
for the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
They showed you the one in the background where it showed the frame of it,
Yep.
and it wasn't for like a day or two. Everyone talked about it and said they saw everyone was concentrating on the castings, the front and back casting, single casting and everything, but nobody right away realized that, wait a minute, that's that's not an exoskeleton. That's a regular body. a regular frame. I mean, so yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
it
the
wouldn't surprise me
exoskeleton
that,
thing.
during the engineering phase of this thing, I mean, they have aspirations when they first introduced the vehicle, but I think during the engineering phase, they probably went, you know what, this is just not, you know, probably going to work. Why don't we just back off a little bit? Maybe we'll do something in the future or whatever. So Sandy Monroe will find out because he'll tear one apart and he'll give us all
Oh yeah,
the nitty gritty details on it. But I think Tesla's walked back certain aspects of the build and the construction just to get it out in a timely fashion. So, however, I will mention I'm happy to see that they took the time during the delays, if you want to call that,
hmm
to add the whole, the huge front trunk, a la, the
yes,
F-150 and the Silverado EV. I'm glad they did that because that's kind of table stakes now. If two or three out of the other incumbents are doing that, I mean, like, come on, guys. So I'm glad to see that. That was a through the spy shot, right? It hasn't been officially confirmed, but I mean that spy shot. That's pretty obvious what's going on.
yeah. You have to really look at that shot to see it. It took me a little while, maybe, or maybe it's just me. It took me a little while to
Oh,
wrap
I
my
saw
head
it right
around
away. As
what
soon
it
as I
was.
saw that,
You
I'm
saw it
like,
right away?
okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
See, I
that's
didn't see it
definitely
right
what's
away.
going on. The only thing that's
The angle messed me up.
yeah. However, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of pictures of. I mean, we've seen lots of the, uh, videos of the car driving around. We just saw it at the lithium thing there going on. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it's me, whatever. I'm still not seeing any evidence of the telescoping ramp built into the tailgate. That was on the prototype, but I haven't seen any evidence of that.
Yeah.
And I
No,
look
you're
at that
right.
tailgate really closely because on the prototype it had a flip up, little door that would
Little
open.
flap.
You'd
Yeah.
pull out the tail. Yeah, the flap.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing any evidence of that. So I have a
Well.
sneaking suspicion it got dropped from the
Yeah.
production car.
Maybe they did. And
And that was a
the
really unique feature. I was like, hey man, that's really cool.
that
Maybe
would
they
be
make it an
great.
option, but right now I haven't seen any evidence of it.
Yeah. What, an option to replace the tailgate? Like take one off and put
Well,
it in.
look what Chevy's doing. They've got that half tailgate thing, and that's not standard on all the cars.
Yeah. True. True. Yeah. You're right. It could be an
Right.
option.
So
But
I don't know.
Tesla
It, it,
never likes to
to
complicate
me, it's
things.
kind of unlike Tesla to do something like that because we know what their options are kind of limited. So it's not like them to do lots of variations on stuff. It's basically, okay, here's your car. You can take two batteries. Here's two sets of wheels, two interior colors, and no colors, and call it a day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
They don't even
typical.
look like they have different kind of wheels.
Well, exactly, right? So, anyways, we'll see. But I'd be a little upset. I'd be a little remiss to see that missing. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people kind of been looking at Cybertruck, over the last, whatever it's been, like 4 years now, 4 years,
Yeah.
and they've got it kind of built up the hype mentally. Tesla hasn't said a word.
No. No.
Elon said, "Oh,
Well,
it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great," but he hasn't said anything other than that. So people just get it in their minds. Oh, man, the thing's going to hover and it's going to fly and it's going to. Whoa, guys, settle down. It's just a truck, right?
it's
So anyway,
typical Tesla fanboys psyching themselves up,
well,
right?
yeah,
And
and then the problem, and I've seen it. I mean, it's not my first rodeo. I've seen this many times. People get all psyched up, and then when the vehicle comes out and they announce it, and then all of a sudden it doesn't have the features that they had in their mind that they were convinced it was going to have, then they feel let down. Well, you're the only person to be blaming for that. Tesla hasn't said anything.
yeah, like
So,
the midgate is a perfect example.
yeah.
People thought for sure it was going to have this midgate. Tesla, to my knowledge at least, correct me if I'm wrong, Tesla never went and said anything
No, they
about a
never did.
midgate.
Now, it
People
wouldn't
just
surprise.
thought
Well, the thing with the Cybertruck is you have to remember that the tonneau cover that rolls up has to go inside the body.
has to go somewhere.
So there are some complications involved with having a midgate that would drop down. Now I can see the glass going down inside. That I don't see
Oh
as
yeah, oh
as
yeah.
as being a
Every
problem.
truck has
But
that.
yeah, but having something that folds down, like the Silverado EV, which I saw at the
Silverado.
car
Yeah,
show, a gorgeous vehicle, I think.
yeah, it's
You know,
huge.
still have an
Huge sucker.
aversion towards GM a bit, but whatever. I think it's still a nice
Yeah,
truck.
that's the problem. That's the sticking point, right? It's a beautiful
Well,
truck, and then you remember it's GM.
I was just at a car show on the weekend. I got invited.
Oh yeah, which
And,
one?
it was in Aurora. The town of Aurora has a yearly. Well, of course they didn't do it the last couple of years because of the pandemic thing. But
Okay.
yeah, they have a little EV thing where they invite owners and Ford and stuff. So I actually had a chance, and I've seen the F-150 Lightning many, many times, but I hadn't had a chance to sit in it. So I actually sat in it this weekend, and I gotta say that's a nice truck, man. They did a good job on that.
The
I
F
mean,
one
I'm not
fifty.
crazy about the hood being so high and you can't see over it. I mean, visibility is terrible, but then again, I'm not a truck owner, so what do I know? But it's a really nice truck.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you know what I was saying to myself, off topic here, but while you bring up lightning, I was saying to myself just a few months ago, like if the Cybertruck gets delayed anything longer than another year, not to say delayed as in me getting one, because I know up here we're not going to get it as fast. Obviously, that's just common sense. But I mean, just delayed in terms of even coming out at all. Um, I was looking at the F-150 for sure, and I mean I already have a reservation in. You know how Ford, like, they didn't take a reservation; you just put your name in, type of thing,
Hmm.
just like Rivian, right? Um, but I was looking at used ones. There is a used car market for the Lightnings,
So there are
and
a
they
few
hope,
around. I haven't
yeah.
looked.
And you know what? Up here in Canada, they probably, from what I was seeing, anywhere from, and I guess it's the big battery. I'm only assuming it's a big battery. I didn't look into it too much, but I just briefly looked at the prices, and they were anywhere from like the low 80s to the low 90s. So that's not bad. I thought
That's
like
not
you,
bad.
no, I thought it'd be, because it's so scarce that they could
See,
name their price.
I'm not a truck guy. So I actually did go to the car show back in February, and I was actually really surprised at the cost of pickup trucks. I mean,
Oh,
everything
they're
that
nuts.
everybody had on display, I couldn't believe it. I mean, if you think that you can buy a pickup truck for 30,000 bucks brand new, I got news to say. It's not happening. Everything they had on
No.
display was 70, 80, $100,000. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they're luxury vehicles now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you
Oh,
can buy a
they're
fleet vehicle for bare bones, but man, I was
no,
surprised.
they are. They're up there. I mean, the little one I have. I mean, some people wouldn't even consider it a truck. I've heard that argument, but the Tacoma, it's just a midsize, right?
Hmm.
And that brand new. And keep in mind, I have a family member that works at Toyota, so we got an employee discount.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it wasn't even the top of the line model. I mean, there's one that's like the off road Pro
Hmm.
TRD one. That one was low 50s. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And that's just a midsize, right? I
Hmm.
mean, you get a full size, these F-150s and these Ram 1500s and Silverados and stuff like that. You're right. They're starting at 70, 60,
Oh, I
70.
know. I couldn't believe it. But I mean, what do I know? I'm not a truck guy, right? But I did see a
Okay.
dealer, and I forget where I was. I was driving past somewhere, and I don't know, must have been north of Toronto, whatever. But they had, and I was pointing it out to my wife. I was like, "Oh, look, there's a, it was a dealer. It was a Ford dealer." I'm like, "Oh, an
Yeah,
F-150 Lightning," and like, "Oh, two of them. They had three of them in the lot,
on the
unsold.
lot.
Yeah, just sitting there.
Oh wow.
Three of them.
Hmm.
Couldn't believe it.
Interesting. I've seen a handful on the road, but
Oh yeah,
anyways.
there's a couple around here that drive around quite a
Oh
bit.
yeah,
So yeah, I see them
nice.
quite often.
Yeah, there's one here in the West End where I am that I
All right,
see
let's talk about some news, man. Enough
quite
about the
regular.
F-150.
Yes, yes. We went. Well, we were talking with Cybertruck. We're talking, catching up with you,
Yeah.
what you're up to, and then yeah. So we're 23 minutes in, and we haven't even started the news yet. So yeah, let's start. Let's talk about, okay. Tesla reopened the orders for the Model 3 long range in the US. Now, it's just in the US. I thought, when I first read it, I thought, oh, good, they have it here. But then I kept reading, uh, but from this article from Drive Tesla Canada, and I realized it's in the US.
Oh,
Now, yeah, I mean, it may come here, it may not. I
have
find
you even
that
checked
Tesla
today?
seems to be. Did I check today? No. You
You
know,
know
you
what?
know
You
me,
keep
Trevor.
talking. I'm gonna go and check it out right now.
Okay, okay. So it's the long range they used to have, and I think for the last 8 or 10 months, I think now
Yeah.
they didn't have it. Like, you could, if you looked in existing inventory, you may been able to find the odd one here or there, but in the configurator you couldn't. It was grayed out, or it wasn't even there. Like, there was no option. It was either the um, SR,
Yeah.
or they just call it the Model 3 now, or the performance. And what they're saying, what Darren says here, is last time it was available, it was priced at 57.9, so 58,000. Now that it's back, it's 47. So it's gone down
Mm.
over 10 grand, and this is all part of the price adjustments and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
so
that wasn't. Sorry, did you find it?
yeah, I'm looking at it right now, but the model range, long range is grayed out. It says available in 2023, but what the hell does that mean?
Yes, we are in 2023. Yeah.
I know exactly.
So Darren goes on to say in this article that previously the long range variant was equipped with 19-inch wheels, and that had 334 miles or 537 kilometers. Now, with those same wheels, it shows 310 plus. Now, I don't know. Does that irk anyone else when they see the plus like it does me? Like, I mean, 310 plus. So it's like they're not committing to anything yet, uh, which works out to just under 500 kilometers here in
Yeah,
Canada.
if they made some changes to the vehicle for whatever reason, it's just most likely because the EPA numbers haven't come in yet.
Yeah. Well, the big debate now with this, since this has been released or announced in the last few days, the big debate, and I've watched it on different YouTube channels and different people talking about it in podcasts and stuff like that. The debate is this a regular 2170 pack, or is this an LFP pack where you'll be able, out of those 310 plus miles, you can get all the miles because you can, if it's LFP, you can charge it up to 100%.
Yeah.
So people are talking about that, and it's the debate's going back and forth. Like, some people are saying yes, it is, and then some people are saying no, it isn't, because the weight's the same. LFP packs are usually heavier, so the weight's not changed. The 0 to 60, the acceleration time's the same as the old one, which is 4.2 seconds. LFPs are usually less dense, so you shouldn't get the same kind of power. So, but then some people are saying it's not it's only available for half the credit. So that's got to be an LFP battery from China. So I guess we'll only know next month when they come out. Then we'll finally know.
Yeah, I have a feeling that these are going to be the ones out of China. I think the export market out of China, the factory is doing so well over there. It's their largest volume factory that they're going to start importing these
Yeah, well, you
out
see
of
it in
Shanghai.
Canada, right?
Hmm.
You see they're doing that in Canada
Yep,
with the new variant of the Model Y,
yep,
which
yeah.
we weren't talking about. But yeah, so yeah, no, I think it's definitely coming from China. But what battery pack? That's still a mystery.
Well,
That's
we'll know when people take delivery and they see that 100%.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'll be able to tell. Apparently, one of the telltale signs is when you go to the battery screen,
Hmm.
and you know how it would say trip, and then it would say every day or
Yeah,
whatever.
if it's
One of
missing
the things.
trip, then it's
Yeah,
an LFP, right? Because you can go to 100%.
exactly, because you can
Yeah.
go to 100%.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's interesting to see that it's good that it's coming back, and it's coming. It seems so affordable, but we still don't know what the battery pack is, and I think that's what I wanted to talk about, because really there's not much news about the Model 3. I mean, with Cybertruck coming and the Model Y doing so good,
Well, the Model
Model
Y
3
is
sort of,
eclipsing it for sure.
yeah. And like Elon said a couple of years ago, he said this was going to happen, and maybe his Elon's famous for this, that with his timelines aren't the greatest, but eventually it does happen. But speaking of the Model 3, let's go on to our next topic, which is the Project Highland. Uh, and they're saying that it's going to begin in June. And did you see this picture, Trev?
Yeah,
This
I saw that
this
picture.
spy shot, or like,
Yep.
when you tell me, when you first saw this, did you think it was fake, or did you know right away,
Um, I
or
had my,
photoshopped?
well, no. I had, I was flip-flopping there for a little bit, but after looking at several different things on it, that's legit. That's the real deal.
Yeah,
So that's what the front end is looking like, which is eerily like the Ascension front end there from Unplugged Tesla, or Unplugged Performance
yeah,
down in California. Definitely has new headlights, which is kind of expected because we'd seen the pictures of the prototypes running around with
the
all the
bras.
camouflage, and of course they were hiding the front end, they're hiding the rear end, they're hiding the headlights. So yeah, it's pretty obvious what they're working on. So no, this is definitely legit. That's the real
Did you,
deal.
did you,
For
I'm
whatever
scrolling.
reason, that cover got blown off, and somebody was the right place at the right time.
Yeah, no, I wonder who got fired for that. I wonder.
Oh, you can bet that they traced it back. I don't know that for sure, but just based on experience, yeah, Tesla's pretty good at sussing out where stuff comes from.
Oh yeah, yeah. If they can tell a car being sold in real time, they could find us out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So we actually should mention I have some predictions about Highland, and it's more than cosmetic.
oh, let's hear.
Well, if you go back a number of years, Sandy Munro was pretty critical of Tesla and how they built the car. And Elon said, yes, I agree. And they rectified that with the Model Y, namely
Yep.
rear casting and now, of course, front casting.
Yep.
So, and even Elon has said in the past, well, we can't change the design of the Model 3 while we're still going 80 miles an hour down the road. It's like
Yes.
trying to change the wheels on the bus going 80 miles an hour down the
That's what
road.
he said.
At
That was
some
an
point,
analogy.
you gotta take production down and change your production and stuff. So here's my prediction: Model 3 is going to get at least one casting to simplify production.
Yep.
I'm sure there will be changes underneath that skin. That's not just the new front fascia. There'll be some internal changes for structural support and stuff. That's just typically how Tesla does things. So yeah, I think we're going to see a simplification on the build so that they can increase margins. I know a lot of people have always said things like, "Oh, Tesla's changing the construction method because it's going to be better for us customers and stuff." No, it's not. That's for Tesla's benefit. You know,
Yes.
that's what they're working on. So yeah, my prediction is that we're going to see, especially with the rear end, we're going to see a casting on the Model 3, possibly a front one too. It all depends on where they stand with the production and scalability of their presses and how much extra they can get out of the current presses. Because I think they have, what is it in Fremont? I think they have 2 giga presses, mostly all done for Model Y because that's where they make for North America. So depending on extra capacity and stuff, I think that's what's going on. Unless they've installed another one that we haven't seen. There's not as
Who
much
knows? Yeah.
attention on Fremont as there are, that is in Texas. I mean, they can't spit without seeing what's going
No,
on in
it's true.
Texas and stuff. So in Fremont, who knows? But that's kind of a prediction that I would have. It just seems like that's typically how Tesla does things. I mean, they brought the heat pump, they brought the casting to the Model Y, and that peanut butter now has been spread across the rest of the product line. I'm talking about the heat pump net, at this point. So no, it wouldn't surprise me to see a casting on the Model 3. So it's not just cosmetic. I think there's some under the hood changes too.
Think any pack changes for range?
Um, Anything is possible. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. Well, you know what? If rumors are correct, they'll be they should be starting up next month in Shanghai, um, like testing it out and stuff like that. And you may see it there first, or I think you're supposed to see it there first.
Okay, so there was an internal document that was spreading around on the internet for a little while, and every so often I see it kind of pop up where it was an internal document, and I had seen this sort of middle of last year, by the way.
Yeah.
I was actually sent to me by a friend who works in the industry, who shall remain nameless.
Don't want to get anyone fired here.
That it's by a it's not from Tesla, so it's not a leak, from Tesla. It's just industry insiders who have inside information as far as production lines starting and stuff. And of course, the dates are kind of like not really set in stone and stuff. But
They float.
yeah, but the code name, I mean, was there. Highland was on there.
Oh,
The code name for the Cybertruck, Everest, was on there. So that led me to believe that it was legit, and it definitely showed that production was right on par in there. So yeah, we're close.
Everest and Highland. Where did I get these names from?
They just they just make it up. I mean, Everest makes sense if you think of a Cybertruck. I mean, gosh, I mean, it's
Yeah.
the biggest
Yeah.
mountain in the world, right?
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Speaking of Cybertruck, so this week was it this? Yeah, it was. What's today? Today's Wednesday. So I guess it was Monday. I think it was Monday, a couple days ago. Tesla showed off the Cybertruck at their lithium ground, I guess, shoveling
Lithium
ceremony.
refinery groundbreaking ceremony.
Yes,
There
that's
you
a
go.
mouthful. Say that 5 times fast. Yeah, so it was all the big wigs and politicians and stuff like that there. But of course, the Cybertruck stole the show. I mean, wherever
Naturally.
that thing goes, yeah, naturally it will still steal the show. But what made it steal the show even more is, and some people say this is just normal, but I think Tesla does this intentionally. Like, I mean, there's no way that Tesla doesn't recognize the the heavy interest in this truck to begin with. Now, you roll this truck out on any given day, there'll be mass interest. Now, you roll this truck out with something on it that we've never seen before. You think people aren't going to take notice? Of course they are, right?
Hmm.
So this new uh, rack at the back, it's called a tool rack. Uh, do you think this? Well, I'm trying to find a good picture of it. Darren has one here from Drives Tesla Canada. I'm trying to see if there's a bigger one. Um,
There were a few that were floating around on
yeah,
Twitter. There was another shot on the side that showed the shovels a little closer up.
yeah. I thought I had one here, but anyways, what do you think of this? What do you think of this
Well,
add-on
okay, so first
accessory?
things first, we did find out from Drew Baglino himself that
Yes.
this was a one-off made by somebody at the company just for this particular purpose. So they don't have any intents on producing this net right now. Although it's going to be knocked off, somebody's going to copy it. It doesn't take very much to, take some quick measurements and throw it on a CNC and just or laser cut,
Oh yeah.
water jet some powder coat it, and then off you go, right? I mean, pretty good idea. I think Elon did say that they had an internal team at Tesla
They do. Yes.
that is working on several different accessories for the Cybertruck. So that makes sense because if they're smart about it and this vehicle is going to do very well, you need something almost right out of the gate in terms of accessories and stuff. And of course, they're not going to be the only ones. The whole industry is going to be, whole cottage industry is going to open up for people making accessories for this thing. Matter of fact, just on the weekend when I was saying at the car show, somebody was lamenting the fact because we were talking about the F-150 Lightning over there, and he was saying to me, well, you can't put a snowplow on the thing. I asked, and they said they can't do it. Do you think that they're going to do it for the Cybertruck? And I said, I really don't have any idea, but I think it would be remiss if they didn't do it. So who knows? Whether Tesla builds the capabilities underneath it for being able to attach, some kind of rail system or a catchment system. If you've seen plows on trucks, you kind of understand that how that works and stuff. So remains to be seen. We really don't know at this point.
Yeah. No. I mean, in a pickup truck market, there the aftermarket
Oh, it's
market
huge.
is huge,
Yeah.
and I think Tesla realized this. And you're right about this team that they've started up. So yeah, they've recognized it, and they're not going to leave money on the table. They're gonna go after it.
The
But
one thing I do want to mention about Cybertruck though, for anybody who's watching who may not be paying attention to a lot of the pictures and stuff, that Tesla has purposely built several, and I think it's at least 6 to 8,
oh yeah,
probably no more than that, attachment points on the whole bed and the roof of the of the Cybertruck. So not just things for like ski racks and that kind of thing, but if you want to build something like this for accessories, that kind of thing, Tesla is putting a lot of attachment points on this. And there's lots of pictures. If you pay attention, you can see them. They're like little tiny rectangles. They flip up, and then there's an attachment point in there. So there are several on the bed, and there's some on the hood as well. So fear not. There's going to be opportunities to be able to clip things on, and that's just the top. That's not what's built into the bed or the vault as they call it on the inside. So at least from that aspect, there's going to be lots of opportunity for accessories and stuff. What's underneath the car? I don't know.
um, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think most pickup trucks, as far as I know, and I hope Tesla has it because I think they had it on the prototype when they first unveiled it that night. I think there was one picture showed it or one video showed it. The rails, the sliding rails on the side. Most pickup trucks have it where you have just different
D
attachments and you can
rings.
put them in those rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can slide it up and down and adjust it how you want.
Yeah. So the
My small
prototype
little
had two.
Tacoma has it.
Yeah. So if you remember, the prototype had two types of rails. They had T slot rails in the bed. Okay, so you can put
Yep,
like T nuts in them. Although
yep.
the pre-production car doesn't seem to have any of that stuff. And then the prototype also had aviation style rails along the sides. So the aviation rails, if you've ever been in an aircraft, you look at the tracks on the floor where they clip in the seats, that's what I'm talking about. They had
Yep.
that on the sides too.
Yep.
So there's lots of opportunities there. I think for most cases, most pickup trucks I've seen, they basically have D rings in there, and that's about it. If you want any fancy stuff, you have to buy accessories. So at least with the Cybertruck, we're going to get, you know, maybe a little bit better attachment points, at least with the bed. And it looks like it's going to have some kind of bed liner sort of built in, so it's not an extra accessory you have to buy.
That's
So
good. That's
we'll
good.
see.
Yeah. Yeah, because they can. Well, they can make money on it if they want to
Well, the
sell it.
number one
Slightly.
accessory people buy in terms of pickup trucks is always some kind of tonneau cover, right?
Yeah, and
That's
this
a,
comes.
like that everybody buys one, but they never
Yeah,
included. So at least
and
with us, we're going to have the best one.
they're not cheap.
Nope.
Those aren't cheap at all. Like I mean, and you can get fancy ones that fold up or just go up on their own, like automatic, like
Hmm.
how the Cybertruck's supposed to be. And those aren't cheap. So for it to be built in knowing that it's factory, just I pray to God they do a better job than Rivian did, because
Yeah,
Rivian's
I was just about to mention that. A poor Rivian's been suffering a lot from their automatic thing, so hopefully
yeah,
they'll get around to redesigning it and offering it. I know they took it off, and they were giving people credit and stuff like that, but maybe they can get around to it. Hopefully, but it doesn't seem to be a priority for them right now. So.
no, they've got we've got a topic that we'll talk about Rivian in a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll come back to that. Moving right along, let's go to the next one, which let's talk about Tesla. Nope, that's the wrong one. Okay, this one. Yeah, Tesla's offering. Well, it's not even Tesla. It's Elon talking about this, which Tesla, Elon's Tesla.
Mm.
I don't know how you can separate the two. The media can't, so why should we?
Shouldn't be like that, but unfortunately,
No,
yeah, it is what
yeah,
it is, right?
it is what it is, buddy. So Elon's talking about, I guess. Let me scroll down. Who was it that asked it? It was even Darren. I think somebody asked on Twitter. Oh,
Oh, it was Chris at
it was
Dirty Tesla.
Chris.
Yeah.
It was Chris that asked. Yeah, free trial of FSD beta coming after. It's super smooth. And then he said, you know what? They're always gonna, because this is what he said. He said, it as long as FSD gets super smooth, not just safe, they're gonna roll out a 1 month free trial for all cars in North America, which is good because we still up here in Canada, we still don't have the subscription,
Mm-mm.
and that's I think that would be huge. I think a lot more people would embrace it up here if they had the option of going month to month. My opinion. I mean, it may not.
That
I
and a
don't know
lower
what the
price.
takeaway. Yeah, well, that I was gonna say, and you know that ain't gonna happen, right? Elon's
Yeah.
gonna be
Well.
stubborn about that. Um, I mean, he's not going to do the transfer because that was another big one. This
Mm,
whole thing
that's
started, by the way. When Tesla put out that question, what do you want to see from Tesla? It was some kind of a survey type of thing, and they left it open.
yeah.
Um, and this is where this whole thing came up with, where they talked about. Um, I think the number one thing was transferability for
Yep.
FSD.
Absolutely. Well, that's
and
that's
and
always been a sticking point.
oh
There's
yeah,
many people in the community have been asking for it for many years. And I have to agree. I mean, for the price that they're asking for, especially with the fact that some of us, who've owned Teslas a little bit longer than when FSD has been available, with the promise of FSD, who have bought and sold cars and never got to use it. So, you know, Elon, if he really wants to beget loyalty from customers, really should maybe a
recognize that.
one-time affair, type of thing that you should allow it to transfer it maybe once. And I think that, and I know for a fact there's a lot of people that are sitting on the fence about buying a new car because of the fact that they paid for FSD. A, can't use it. You bought it, and then you still have to wait for the for the beta invitation to come. Anyways, to make a long story short, that I know for a lot of people, it's holding them back from buying a new car.
Oh yeah, and think of if they were to say a one time one time fee, one time
Even
use
for a
that,
small fee, yeah, exactly.
yeah, or even a fee. No, I misspoke there. I didn't even mean a fee, but yeah, you're right. But just a one time only that you can transfer it. You think of how the floodgates that I think, just like you, that would open up, that would like have people jump to a newer car, and now you've just increased the sale or multiple sales, right?
Well,
I
who
don't know
knows?
how they're a smart company. I'm surprised they don't see that.
Well, Elon's a micromanager.
Yes, that
What
is
he
true.
says happens, right?
Yes,
It doesn't change my opinion that FSD is overpriced for what it is.
oh, definitely.
I could probably make a case for $5,000 to $6,000 for FSD, but at in Canadian dollars, what is it?
20,
$19,500
yeah, 20
plus
grand,
plus tax. I'm
and
sorry.
yeah.
I'm sure their take rate is so low as to be like scratching their heads. Why aren't people buying this?
Well, and this is
Sorry.
why I wonder why they haven't brought the subscription base up here sooner.
Well, a lot of people could make a case, and even myself can make an easy case for the fact that they're pricing it artificially higher on the buy scale of things to force people into a subscription because that's just continuing revenue should you stay on
Yep.
the subscription system.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's bizarre that they haven't offered it up here. I mean, we have month to month for connectivity, except we don't have, on the flip side, we don't have the yearly purchase like they do in the US,
I wish I did. I
right?
wish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here. So on the flip side, we're not seeing the subscription on FSD. So I don't know. Maybe it's a regulation thing. I don't know how things work. Who knows? It's just maybe it's Tesla flipping a coin. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things I remember, I think someone on Twitter had put together a list of the top things that they wanted to see on that list that Tesla was asking, what do you want Tesla to do next? And one of the things I remember was all your referral supercharging credits, if you can transfer that or extend it. Transfer it, like donate it to give to other people. I know it's a sore point for you, Trev, and it is. Mine just expired, and
Mine did
I'm
too. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just so sad because how does I mean I'm gonna I don't know if there's any good way to say this without sounding like a snob, but how do you do it now and pay for it? I don't know. I've never paid for supercharging yet. I guess I have to have a valid credit card on file.
I really don't know.
Yeah, see, I know the two of us sound like idiots because we don't know, right? And other people that have been paying for it for 2 or 3 years are like, you assholes. um, but speaking of supercharging, I mean, it could be worse. This next thing, and I don't want to get too deep into weeds or political or anything, but uh, there was an argument down in the states at a Tesla supercharger. Now I don't know if it was over the charger or just led there, but it led to a fatal shooting, and somebody's dead now because of it. And of course, if it happens at a supercharger, the media has to say Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. It just when's the last time you heard of someone talk about a Toyota catching on fire, right? No, it has to be a Tesla, right?
Yeah.
Or when they gets into an accident. So anyway, so of course, this happened in Denver, Colorado, I believe. Yeah, in Denver, Colorado, and Colorado. I thought people in Colorado were a lot milder and like mellow. Oh, anyways, so
You want mellow? I
yeah,
think you have to go to
two
New Hampshire, or Vermont, or something.
two males got into an argument, and yeah, it does say in this article they were fighting over the supercharger. Uh, it says fighting over a supercharger, but it wasn't clear what the argument was about. Well, maybe it was over a supercharger. Anyways, shots were fired, and one person's dead. And I hope they got an arrest. They made an arrest. Let me go down and see if they did. Oh, he turned himself in. He called 911 and turned himself in to Jefferson County Sheriff Office. Huh. I
Right.
mean, I don't want to bring this podcast down with tragic news or anything. We got another topic we'll end on a high note. But is there even anything to say or comment on here, Trev, or just
Well, it's
the
tragic.
state
It
of our
shouldn't happen like
society?
this.
No, it shouldn't.
It wasn't a fist fight. It wasn't a knife fight. It was a gunfight.
Yeah.
I've seen I've seen heated exchanges with people at superchargers. Not
Have you?
very
Oh yeah.
common. I have seen it.
Yeah.
Early days, people icing the spots deliberately. And some choice words were exchanged between said parties. I've seen
Here
that happen.
in nice old Canada.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing is, we're
I'm kidding. We're not as nice
we're
as
we're
people think
we're,
we are.
we're passive aggressive. Thankfully, I haven't seen a lot of that stuff. So this is just a tragic event. Hopefully, it doesn't repeat itself. But yeah, it's pretty sad to see
Yeah.
a lot of this
The
stuff happening.
the moral of the story, folks, is I mean, I'm not going to be a preacher. Please don't
Cooler
think I'm
heads shall
preaching.
prevail.
Yeah, just it's at the end of the day, you may be in a hurry, but no need to no need to harm each other, no matter for anything, especially to charge.
Hmm.
And you know what? You may be right, but you know what? It's just like road rage, right? It's like at the end of the day, in
Yeah.
this day and age, like I see some real idiot drivers, but I really hesitate in this day and age to even honk my horn at anyone anymore. It's just like you don't know what that person's mindset is at that time. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't there's so many factors that in this day and age it's just not worth it. You see a story like that over a supercharger, and then what was that? There was a movie out last year with I forget the name of the movie, but basically I it wasn't the greatest movie, but basically it was over at the beginning of the movie. This lady in her car, she was the main actress and then the guy in the car. I think it was Russell Crowe. I could be wrong. Um, she honks at him, and he loses his mind. And for the rest of the movie, he's chasing her, trying to kill her and her family. And it was one of those suspense horror type of things. I forget the name of it.
Road
Uh,
rage.
yeah, no, it wasn't called Road Rage, but it might as well have been called Road Rage.
Well,
It was
I've seen a lot of it in a lot of ways because people's mentality sometimes can change when you put them behind the wheel of an enclosed space that weighs 2 to 3 tons, and just you just got this, I don't know, this mentality of invincibility in the sense that nothing can touch me. I'm protected inside of here, so I can be a douche
yeah,
anytime I want. And I don't. I'm not. I get upset at people when you get cut off. I mean,
oh
anybody
yeah,
will, right?
yeah,
It
we do.
happens. But to go on a murder rampage just because somebody cuts you off, it's not worth it. I mean, you know, I don't know. Whatever.
Sad, sad society we live in. But yeah, no, I
Well,
agree. Well, let's
talk about something else.
yeah, let's make it a little milder here. Let's
Whoa,
talk about Rivian.
$42,000.
Yes. Speaking of road rage, this guy just got rear-ended in his brand new truck, and if that wasn't bad enough, now we're talking about this article um, about this Rivian R1T pickup truck. It was in Ohio. He got rear-ended. It looks very, very minor. I think there's a picture down here. Yeah, I don't know if you can see in that corner there. Uh,
Yeah, I
that
see it
picture
bent in
there.
there. Hmm.
Yeah, it's like it's very minor. It's like is the body even? I'm looking at it carefully. Is the body even dented, or is just the bumper?
It looks just like the bumper and maybe a little bit of the crush can behind it.
Yeah, and let me go back. It was $42,000 repair bill just for that
Wow.
minor. Now, are you surprised when you see this, Trev? Like, do you recall
Well,
Tesla ever being like this in its infancy?
well, two things. Repairing cars ain't cheap no more.
No.
There's so many electronics now. These things are so intricate in terms of their building. The construction method now, there's a lot of aluminum. That's not easy to work with. The body shops have to make incredible investments in new tooling and methods and training and stuff whenever a manufacturer does anything, different. And who knows what the Cybertruck's going to bring about. But when the Model 3 came out, or even the Model S for that matter, third-party repair shops and stuff, unless they were already working on things like Porsches and, sort of higher-end cars that were dealing with aluminum, that they had to make significant investments in the equipment and tooling and all that other stuff in order to repair aluminum. Now, I don't know what the Rivian's made of, and I don't know how much steel as opposed to aluminum is involved in here, but how do we know that this is a bill that's coming straight from Rivian, or is it just another body shop that's ill-equipped to do this and they called? I mean, what are they saying here in the article? They said anything as
It said it. I mean,
initially seeking to help find a certified repair shop?
Yeah, it said it took over 2.5 months to
The
complete.
insurance company estimated the damage would be around $1,600 sent to the owner. Rivian recommends its EVs taken to certified repair shops. Okay,
But
so
they took
local
it to
shop. Yeah.
it's specialized. This local shop
Okay, so
specialized in
yeah,
EVs.
only one of three Rivian certified shops in the states.
See, that's the problem. Well, this is what happens. This is the growing pains for startups, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons why at least Rivian in the U.S. and to a certain extent up here, or not Rivian, but Tesla has in-housed a lot of their repairs because costs are getting out of hand. $42,000 for something like this, I think, is a little on the high side. Now, how much of this? I'll be honest here. How
yep.
much is this the repair shop trying to fleece the insurance company?
Well, exactly. And you know what? I've seen it firsthand. That is a big thing. And you would think the insurance companies would like fight back. And you know what? They don't care, especially if they're a preferred shop that works with the insurance company. Like I've seen it before so many times. They're like, okay, yeah, the bill's 20 grand. Okay, 20 grand because they're a preferred shop. No questions asked. They won't send an adjuster. It's crazy. I
Well, here it
mean,
is right here in the article. It says this is 100% insurance fraud on behalf of the authorized repairs facility. Clearly, they are taking advantage of the fact that it's an extremely new platform to justify egregious costs. So, yeah, I think this is a fleecing,
oh yeah,
and the insurance company should fight back because that's not $42,000. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, I agree.
I mean,
But
if you had a Bugatti or a Huracan or something like that, yeah,
well,
I could see that.
there was in
But
this article somebody does mention in the comments that they've seen Lamborghini Aventador damage cost less.
well, so yeah, I think there's some shenanigans going on in here. So I don't think this is something that a lot of people should not consider something like a Rivian for now if they get into a fender bender. I think this is just a one-off. But the thing is that putting light on something like this, sort of on social media and stuff, kind of keeps people a little more honest in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, it does.
Hopefully,
And
anyways.
I mean, other than just the sheer shock value of the price and everything that I want to talk about, the other reason I brought it up is like, I mean, with the Cybertruck coming out, I know we talked about the Cybertruck quite a bit on the show already, but
Mm.
like, are you afraid? Are you fearful that this may happen at the very beginning, like it be so expensive? Now, granted, Tesla has a lot more availability in body shops and in-house stuff, like you were saying earlier, than Rivian. I mean, Rivian's in their infancy, right? I mean, that's what
I th-
people are wondering why they're not in here in Ontario. They don't have any place to fix it if anything happens.
well, Rivian's not even in Canada yet, which is a little
Yeah,
disappointing because I like the truck. But
yeah. Well,
we always
there's
we always run
three
the
or
chance
four.
of yeah, well, we always run the chance of Cybertruck being different enough that repair costs, at least initially, could be a problem. Again, going back to our discussion earlier, I don't think this is going to be an exoskeleton like Tesla anticipated. So it all boils down to, how much is Tesla going to charge for stainless steel body panels, um, the plastics on the other stuff. I mean, we all know safety is like the number one thing on the whiteboard at Tesla. So we know the Cybertruck is going to be safe. I like the fact that they teased that video, what, about a month ago?
Oh, the April Fool's one.
The April
Oh,
Fool's one?
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Anyway, so I'm not worried about safety. Repairability will remain to be seen because I know in the early days when they announced the Cybertruck and they were all talking about, oh, it's going to be an exoskeleton and stuff, and everybody was losing their freaking minds over the fact that the thing was going to cost a fortune or have to be completely written off. And I'm like, no, that's not happening.
They may be doing us a favor by not making an exoskeleton
Well,
for repairability
who knows?
reasons.
As we talked about earlier, maybe that was one of the things that they walked back. Could have walked
For that
back and
reason,
said,
yeah.
looking at the overall thing, manufacturability, repairability, affordability, all this other stuff is like, man, maybe we bit off a little more than we can chew. Maybe it's just time we back off a little bit about that and
That's
kind
not
of
like
shelve
Tesla.
that and put that in the future, right?
Come on, Trev. Tesla's never backed off stuff before.
Well,
They never walked
remember the
stuff
Model
back.
Y was supposed to get the 48 volt and the simplified wiring system and stuff. That
Wiring,
never
yeah.
happened. Of course, now they're
No,
putting it in the Cybertruck, which makes more sense.
yeah. Because I
So,
think if it was left up to Elon, it would have, but
well,
his engineers had to
yeah,
physically. I
yeah,
heard a rumor was they had to say, "Listen, buddy, you can't do this.
yeah.
We need to simplify this as best as we can.
Well,
There's a reason it looks like the three for a reason."
yeah, I know. Well, Elon, we know, is not a patient man. He wants things done, and he wants things done yesterday.
Yesterday,
Hence, of course, 2 weeks, right? So that's kind of the running joke.
yep,
So I think in a lot of ways, even with the Cybertruck, like I said, just kind of going back to that, I think that they probably backed off on some of the stuff that they had. And of course, they're not going to go and change. And I know people are going to come in and they're going to say, well, why didn't they change the website to, no, because that's tipping their hat, right? So they're just kind of like status quo, just leave it alone. And then when the time comes, won't even talk about that because it's not really important. Of course, Sandy's going to find out and he'll tell everybody. So
yeah,
we'll see. Anyways.
yep. No, exciting times, and you know what? I mean, we're only a few months away, hopefully, from finding out all these things. I mean, like I said at the beginning, we're gonna have at the end of this. I guarantee we're gonna have more questions than answers,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it'll still be fun.
September. Keep your
So
powder dry until September, I think.
yeah, yeah. Um, well, that wraps it up for me in terms of topics and stuff like that. Trev, is there anything exciting and new? Well, other than your retirement and your trailer that we spoke about at the beginning of the show, anything in the Tesla world that's happened to you lately that you could mention with us or talk to us about? Or I mean, I don't
No,
want to put you on the spot if you don't, because I don't have anything.
no, nothing really. I mean, just a few days ago, what's today? The 10th. So on the 7th was the 1 year anniversary when I bought my Model Y and I picked it up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's funny though because I've been neglecting the car. I've been so busy doing this other stuff that I haven't washed it as much as yeah, you know me, right? Because I'm
Yeah,
always about
you're.
keeping the
Yeah, I was
car
gonna
clean and stuff,
say.
and I had plans on taking it in to get it detailed, and I still haven't done that yet. So the car is filthy and repulsive. So yeah, it needs a little TLC. I mean,
We're all guilty for that. Don't
yeah,
beat yourself up
I
over
know,
it,
I
buddy.
know.
We're all guilty for that. No, I mean, it is what it is. Uh, there was something I was gonna mention, and I forget what it is now. Um, oh, I remember when you said anniversary. We are approaching what is a 5 year anniversary at the end of this month. For when I guess
Model
the
3.
mass, yeah, the Model 3 came out to the masses here in Canada.
That's right.
And
And yeah,
now it was between the 30th and the 31st is when most of the stuff took place. And if you not aware, yes, the Model 3 came out. Did it officially come out in 2017 to a handful of people?
yeah, 2017, they delivered a handful, sort of July-ish, August timeframe in the US. I remember they originally went to friends and family of Tesla
Yeah.
employees and some very early adopters, say like if you had a Model S or something like that, you kind of had priority and stuff. That's when Ken and I went down to Texas and
Oh
had a
yes,
look at
that's
one of the
right.
very first Model 3. So that was a friends and family affair there.
Hmm.
But we really didn't see Model 3 in Canada till the very, very late May of 2017. Actually, I think one of the first ones was either delivered in Vancouver or Toronto. I was there for the Toronto one.
The very first one ever in Canada. I only know this because I have the guy in my Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Steve Lloyd. He was
Okay,
here
so
in
I was there for that one.
Ontario.
His was red. Yeah, I was there
Yeah,
for that.
his
Okay.
his red. That was the very first one out
Mm-hmm.
of, and I think that was, I want to say mid to early May, and then like a few trickled in here or
Well,
there,
let me
but the
look at my pictures
masses.
because I happen to have a picture.
Oh, you do?
I
The
did. I was there.
mass, the mass release or the mass delivery event happened at. They basically, for anyone that doesn't know the GTA or Toronto or too well,
Yeah,
they have this.
not the game.
The Greater Toronto area. They have this. It's called Toronto International Center,
Hmm.
Toronto Convention Center. I think it's this big giant thing they use for like RV shows or different kind of shows and events and stuff like that. So Tesla hired, I guess, rented out a good portion of this, and they brought all the cars in there. They PDI'd them. They got all the paperwork
Yep.
ready, and on starting on the May 30th, 2018, they started releasing these cars to people by appointments,
Hmm.
and it was, needless to say, it was a shit show.
It
But we
was
got our cars.
Friday, May 11th.
May 11th. Okay.
Yeah, because here's the video I took.
Oh
That's
yes,
Steve. Sorry
that's
about
Steve.
the photo. Yeah, that's Steve and the in his red Model 3. That's the very first one.
Someone running by in the shot.
This was this was all a bunch of cars on the lot that I took the day before. So yeah, there you go.
Oh,
There's the official date.
exciting
That was the
times.
yeah, exactly. Good
Exciting
times,
times.
man. It was fun. I mean, 5 years
Yeah.
already. Holy
Yeah,
mackerel.
it's 5 years. So if I can, no promises, but I'm trying to think of getting some guys together
Okay.
that got their cars on the 30th or the 31st and having a little short, quick little, not even a podcast, a little episode of, and we'll just talk about it. And it may be boring to some people. It may be interesting to some others, but a little special video that we're going to put together. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do it live or if I'll do it pre-recorded, but
Hmm.
I'm thinking of doing that for the 30th and 31st anniversary, 5-year anniversary. So that's
Cool.
coming up probably next. It's already the 10th, man. Jesus, May 10th.
I know. Where did the time
So
go?
so yeah, so in 2 weeks, no, three
Sounds good.
weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks.
Sounds like fun.
But thank you very much for coming on. I
My
appreciate it.
pleasure.
I've bored these people for the last 2 or 3 weeks, or not 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 months by myself, and I wanted to get a guest, and I wanted to, and not to say those other guys are great, but I wanted somebody that I haven't had on for a while, and pull someone out of the woodwork and literally bring them out of retirement.
Happy to be here. Always fun to talk to my friends. That's the thing. Is that even though I'm doing my own thing now, I still miss my friends.
Yeah, yeah, and you're. It's not like you disappeared either. I mean,
No, no, I'm still
I don't want
around.
to come. Yeah, you're still very active on Twitter and in the community and stuff like that. And as you can hear by your knowledge, you're still keeping up with current events and stuff like that happen every day.
I
So
may
it's
not
not like,
comment on it, but I certainly keep tabs on things.
yeah,
Not as
you
much as
should.
I used to because it's when it's your job, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah. So thanks anyways for coming on. I appreciate it.
anytime, buddy.
I would normally say where can people find you, but
Twitter, man. That's where
yeah,
I'm at.
Twitter. Yeah, exactly.
Not a lot of Tesla content that I do on Twitter anymore, but it's mostly
Yeah,
shit posts and stuff. But it's still fun.
yeah. No, yeah. No, you, like I say, you still comment quite a bit on Twitter, right? On Tesla stuff, I think. Anyways, thanks for coming on, folks. Thanks for listening and joining. If you haven't been watching it live and you watch it afterwards or listen on the audio podcast, um, there was something else I had to say, but I forget. So you know what? We will catch you here. Like I said, we seem to, or I've seemed to figured out the. Where's my phone? I don't even know where my phone is. I've seemed to figure out, which is a good thing because I don't usually like to have my phone when I'm doing this, but I found it here. I seem to figure out the schedule of when I can do these podcasts religiously. Like before, it was just scattered and all stuff like that.
Mm.
But the last time I did was 4 weeks ago today, and the next one should be 4 weeks again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking at my calendar, so the next one should be June 7th. So mark that one down on your calendars. You'll see me. I'll post something on Twitter, on Facebook, reminding you a couple days before. But June 7th should be a Wednesday. We'll see you on the next one. Okay. Take care, folks. Bye bye.
See you guys.
Thanks, Trev.